Welcome to NBA Countdown, and we have a newbie joining us today. Richard Jefferson is here in our New York studios. He did.
Welcome back.
So congratulations.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Adrian Wojnarowski, he's always here. Maria Taylor alongside Jalen Rose and Jay Will. And guys, we have a lot to get into. We got a doubleheader coming your way, Hawks-Knicks, then we've got Lakers-Warriors. But first, we have to continue the conversation with the sports news that's become international news over the course of time between the NBA and China. And 10 days ago, after Daryl Morey's Hong Kong-China tweet, LeBron James stated Monday that he felt the Rockets GM was not educated on the situation. And despite having the freedom of speech, there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too. James then quickly tweeted to clarify, "I believe nobody stopped and considered what would happen, could have waited a week to send it." Tuesday, LeBron addressed the media after practice.
I mean, it's a tough situation that we're all in right now as an association. That's us as athletes, owners, GMs, whatever, so forth. I think, when the issue comes up, if you feel passionate about it or you feel like it's something you want to talk about, then so be it. I also don't think that every issue should be everybody's problem as well. When things come up, there's multiple things that we haven't talked about that happen in our own country that we don't bring up. There's issues all over the world, and I think the best thing we can do is, if you feel passionate about it, talk about it. If you're not, you don't have a lot of knowledge about it or you don't quite understand it, I don't think you should talk about it because it just puts you in a tough position. We're not politicians. I think it's a huge political thing, but we are leaders, and we can step up at times. But there's times where I'm not saying in this particular instance, but if you don't feel like you should speak upon things, you shouldn't have to.
All right, so we finally heard from LeBron James, and I feel like the two people we always have wanted to hear from on this subject were Adam Silver, the commissioner, and LeBron. And so after hearing him speak for the first time, we've seen the clarifying tweets, and now we've seen what he had to say on Tuesday at practice. What's your reaction to his remarks?
It actually reminds me of a movie I've seen before featuring Michael Jordan, when he came out and he talked about Republicans buy shoes too, which is allegedly an urban legend, okay? So when you're as powerful as he is, people expect you to be a moral authority over all things. He chose while he was a player not to do so. LeBron James, as a current player, being outspoken as he is, people expect him to have an opinion, an informed one about everything. And when you stumble the way he did have 11 days to prepare. I thought when they put a microphone in front of his face, he would have had something, better to say that he didn't have to clarify. But however, now when you do make that stumble, people were already lined up to try to knock down your moral authority anyway.
Yeah.
And so for LeBron in this case, whether it's the protest in Hong Kong, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's immigration, we can't require him to be the moral authority of everything. And lastly, this is why I have such a high esteem for people like Muhammad Ali, because he was banned for boxing for what he believed in. Colin Kaepernick banned from the NBA in theory, in the NFL in theory, based on what he believed in. We can't anticipate that all athletes are going to be willing to go that far as those individuals did.
It's a tough ask. When I first heard it, when you set the table by calling somebody misinformed or uneducated, I then think that you're going to inform me. It didn't seem like LeBron did that. It seemed like this wasn't a prepared statement of his. It seemed like it was more off the cuff. Now, I don't think that takes away all the social equity that he's earned over his time by speaking out on issues. But when you do engage yourself in a political conversation, it's imperative that you're tactical with your words. Like people weaponize words for politics. That's what people do. So I think if you had 11 days to make a statement, he could have been more prepared. But once again, I don't think that still takes away from the equity that he's earned for the issues that he has spoken up about. He bumbled this one.
What I heard from the initial comment was frustration. That was what I heard from LeBron when he said it.
And he knew it was a trap. He knew it was going to be a trap. You're going to be forced to speak about this.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose. But you were in China. Like, you know what the feeling was while you were there, RJ.
It was extremely tense. And that was the thing. I think the frustration from all the players were that we just got put in the middle of something. We didn't see it coming. We had no idea what was going on. And it wasn't a monetary thing. At that point in time, and at no point in time did we ever feel in danger, but you felt how tense the situation was. You had everybody from ESPN, everybody from the NBA, all of the players, and no one knew if the game was going to happen up until it was pretty much tip-off. That shows you how tense the situation was. So I think even LeBron James speaking there, maybe a little bit from frustration. I think the statement that he was trying to say was, even with freedom of speech, there can still be repercussions. And so for the fact that like you want to send that tweet a week before the NBA is going over there with their first Chinese majority owner, the most famous team and the most famous athlete, there's going to be a lot of attention. And I think that's where he was, I think Daryl Morey did a good job of bringing attention to something, but I don't think he did a good job of bringing attention to something at the time that it needed to be brought attention.
It just almost felt though like LeBron, his first time on camera, it was about him airing grievances about the fact that there's this double standard, that a player were to say this, there would be, more difficult or more challenging repercussions than if a GM or if an owner said it. Just the timing of it was way off.
The repercussions for Daryl Morey could be significant. Like, this is a Rockets team that is expected to compete in the West. They made a big trade for Russell Westbrook, and if things don't go right, it is easier to move on from him in Houston. They weren't going to do that in the short term. They did look at his contract. They did decide, is that something in the short term we should consider doing? Houston ownership did. They moved away from that. But you talk to people in the league right now, owners, general managers, players, agents, they are talking about this as an economic issue, not a moral issue. What is this going to cost us? Teams are looking at the salary cap. Are we going to lose revenue where the cap number might be lower next year? It impacts how we do deals, how we build our payroll, and players are looking at the possibility of the loss of sponsorships. Adam Silver had to make this, in that second statement, a moral issue for the league.
Yep.
But in the rank and file and the people who are doing business right now, they see this as an economic issue.
And the one thing I'll say is, so far, we've had a small number of people speak out on this. Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, LeBron James, Adam Silver, Daryl Morey obviously started it. None of it has gone well for anybody, right? Everybody that has spoken out, whether trying to clarify something or trying to, say, I don't know a lot about it, like Steve Kerr said, everybody has been criticized for whatever they have said. So in that moment, if it's a lose-lose, just stop talking about it.
My thing is, how are you going to handle this moving forward? If the NBA is looking at itself as a global business and you're trying to expand your footprint business-wise, then if you're going to expand in India, there's issues in India. Are the players no longer just a national platform? You have an international platform. Are the players allowed to speak on international issues? Or do you have to be quiet? That's going to be a major challenge for Adam Silver moving forward.
I don't think it's any different than any business in Apple or Nike or anyone that's operating in those countries. The difference is the platform that some of these employees will certainly have. But I think you're right. It seems to be a lose-lose. But one thing I hate to see is people devalue or diminish what LeBron has done domestically.
Facts.
As a response to the way that he reacted to Daryl Morey's tweets and how it affected him and his teammates. But we got plenty more to get to here on NBA Countdown because, of course, we got a doubleheader coming your way. We're 8 minutes away from talking about Vinsanity. I think our boy RJ has a very unique perspective on some of the things he was able to do.
Is he the real RJ?
Is he the real RJ?
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll talk about RJ Barrett. We'll talk about Trae Young. And then the chemistry of champions. Can they build it with the Warriors? Can they build it with the Lakers? J. Will would say no to the Warriors, but that's all right.
Always throwing me in there.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm here to do. Julius Randle showed up. You like this guy.
I do.
Go in, Jalen.
I got a stat for you.
Okay.
He averaged 22 and 8 last year in the West. That's what Zion averaged in college.
Hit him. They weren't ready.